Latest football news, engaging debates,
and fascinating opinions.
Pitchside Talk on IO Radio.
Hello and welcome back to Pitchside Talk here on IO Radio's Fridays at 5 p.m. for another week of football action with me, George. As always, now before I move on talking about what is coming up in today's show, I have a special announcement to make. We have a special guest. Yes, Dan, he's not here. He's been suspended. Been partying too hard, probably, wherever he lives, or even in Ipswich, because, you know, it's coming home, all sorts of things. So I've had to draft in a substitution here, an emergency loan signing, you can say. It is the wonderful Piers. Piers, long time no see. How are you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. Normally, I'm just the guy who predicts the scores wrong, but I've been drafted in. Dan, I think he went a little bit too crazy with the celebrations in the England game, so they've had to get me in. So yeah, I'm all good. I mean, how can anybody in England complain at the moment?
No, we're in party mode, but you know, I wish I was in party mode, but unfortunately, I got work. I can't miss that because, you know, a bit of a problem here. But yeah, what have we got coming in today's show? Well, before I actually mention that, I better mention the social media. So I always forget about social media. Twitter is at Pitchside Talk, Instagram is at Talk_Pitch, YouTube, Mixcloud, both at Pitchside Talk. If you want to listen back to any of our previous shows, they're both on the YouTube and the Mixcloud. So what is coming out in today's show? Well, we're going to be talking about Ipswich Town. We've actually got some good news and lots of rumours flying around the club at the moment in the transfer window. Then we'll be talking about the first semi-finals for Euro 2020 in 2021 between Italy and Spain, and then England versus Denmark. And we will find out who's in the final, and we'll preview it for you on this show today. Well, when we come back, we'll be talking about Ipswich Town and all the rumours flying about.
Stay up to date with the latest footy news.
Pitchside Talk on IO Radio.
Well, welcome back to Pitchside Talk here on Irish Fridays at 5 p.m. with me, George, and Piers this week. Not Dan, as always, as usually. He is suspended for celebrating too hard because of England. So he's been suspended for one show, but he will be back next week. Touch wood if he doesn't celebrate too hard on Sunday. Well, we're going to be talking about Ipswich Town now. And this week, the club has had, a very interesting one, really, with rumours flying about of new signings coming through the doors, player leaving, bids being rejected, and also a fan favourite player being linked back with the club. Cool. I wonder who that could be. There's not many fan favourites around, but apparently there is one linked back with the club. But first, we must talk about some very good news that has been announced. Well, the turnstiles will be turning once again at Portman Road after new government plans announced that stadiums will return back to full capacity for the brand new season in August. And also a record high of season tickets have been sold at Ipswich Town, over 12,000 so far. The last time that was achieved was 6 years ago. That's a long time. Piers, some noise is going to be finally back at Portman Road. The turnstiles are going to be turning. Portman Road is going to be absolutely bouncing. But also for all the clubs around the country, it's fantastic news for them as well, because we know a lot have been struggling. A lot of teams suffer without having fans there. You look at Sheffield United really suffer without having fans at that stadium. But the good times are returning at Portman Road.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, it's brilliant for, you know, all teams over the country, you know, whether it's the big clubs or small clubs. You know, you've got the clubs like Harrogate who got themselves from a non-league into League Two, and then you know, the pandemic happened. So, you know, it's key for them so they can get some money in. But for Ipswich, you know, Ipswich fans really deserve this, and I think it's really going to help the atmosphere. I think the atmosphere and the spirit within Ipswich over the last sort of, like, you know, few years, it's been a little bit low. You know, obviously they went for an amazing run in League One about 2 seasons ago, but the atmosphere had been, I think, a little bit sad. I think there'd been a disconnect between the players and the fans a little bit, the last year. So I think, you know, this comeback, 12,000 season tickets bought so far in League One, I think it's going to be amazing. I think the fans are really going to get behind the team, and you know, it looks like good times ahead. You know, Paul Cook said all the right things, getting some half decent players in for Ipswich. You know, if they can play as half as well as what they've been saying, you know, I think the fans will be very happy. So, you know, it's brilliant, really.
Yes, it is absolutely brilliant. I think what they're doing with the ownership at the moment, sort of the players are bringing in, it seems like Ipswich has been really reconnected back to the community. I think that game against Morecambe as well, first game of the season at home, wouldn't be surprised to see 30,000 there just for a game against Morecambe. That would be absolutely crazy. Well, there's been plenty of players that have left the club in this summer and in this season, really. As the club begins its new transition under the new ownership, as we've seen lots of long-serving players leave and academy players as well, and it looks like another homegrown player is going to be out this door. He's got strong interest towards the Ipswich door. It is Teddy Bishop. Yes, Teddy Bishop, not another one. He's off. Apparently, Lincoln City are chasing for his signature. Piers, Teddy Bishop has been one of those players who has been told he could possibly find a new club, which Paul Cook told them back in the summer, despite triggering his contract extension, which signed him on for another year. It would be quite sad to see him leave. We know he's had a very up and down time at the club. That breakthrough he had, then he had that injury, sort of wasn't really involved with the squad for a long time, came back into the squad, made an impact, and has transitioned into sort of playing with the squad, but not really making much of an impact when he really needs to. But this transfer here could possibly lead on to some more transfers, like we saw with Andre Giselle when he went to QPR. We signed Raheem Harper, and his funds were used to bring in some more players. So this wouldn't be a bad transfer in sort of the business side here.
Yeah, I think business-wise, it's probably right. Bishop he's had fitness problems. Obviously he had the great start under Mick in the playoff season, and I know he had continuous problems with shin splints and different injuries, and just struggled to get going. I think he's only got sort of a handful of goals actually for Ipswich for the time he's been. I know he's been a good player, and I think the main thing, it was a bit like Luke Hahn. I think fans have just got a lot of sort of heart with him just because he's a local boy, and obviously you want to see him do well, and you could tell he was passionate about the club, and he played well. But for a business standpoint, maybe it is the right move. I mean, he would be a good player to keep on the bench. I don't think you lose anything from keeping Bishop. I guess it depends on the transfer. It depends what Lincoln offer him, because I think he would be a decent player to keep on the bench. But he's had his time to really prove himself and get going at Ipswich, and he has struggled to hit the form. But injuries haven't helped him really. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did get rid of him. But I still think it wouldn't be bad if Ipswich kept him in the squad.
Yeah, he like you said there, could be a very good impact player. But like you said, with the emotional attachment there, that's the one thing with this transfer here. It's what makes it more painful. It's like the Andre Giselle one. Lots of fans didn't want to see him leave, but the bitter pill here to swallow is if he leaves, more people are going to come through the door. So surely it does make sense. It's a very big emotional attachment, but it has to be broken at some point. With Chambers, he left as well, and Cole Skews, that emotional attachment has to be broken at some point.
Yeah, unfortunately, it does. I think with Ipswich fans, they are so loyal to their players, and they will defend their players. It's just the way it is. I'm sure half or 60% of the fans wouldn't have wanted Skews and Chambers to go, but unfortunately, these are new times for Ipswich, and if you want to get back into the championship, you've got to make changes. These same players that they've been trying with for years in years out, and the players that are age, and obviously Bishop is still young, but he's had his time to prove himself at Ipswich. Unfortunately, it hasn't gone, I'm sure, as well as he wanted, nor the club, nor the fans. So, I think you have to understand that sometimes you have to make the hard decisions. Someone has to make the hard decisions. A lot of managers have been complacent at Ipswich, played it safe. So if Paul Cook can make a hard decision, and the player that he brings in may lead to Ipswich Town getting promoted, I'm sure people won't be too bothered. So, you've got to take risks in this game, and I think it could be a necessary risk for him.
Yeah, he seems to be taking those hard decisions already, which I think is quite different. We don't really see it from his town manager making those hard decisions, even under the previous management. He didn't really like to make hard decisions. Well, with him possibly leaving, Teddy Bishop, he could possibly fund a transfer which has been, flying around the rumour mill for a long time now. One player called Matt Crooks from Rotherham, who's out of contract at the end of next season in summer 2022. He's a prime target for Paul Cook. Paul Cook has made it pretty obvious he wants this player, and it's which I've had 2 bids rejected for the midfield from Rotherham, as Rotherham value well into the 7 figures. They didn't specify how much, but we're talking probably 1.5 million here. Piers, Ipswich have had some tough trying to get their man. The transfer, sort of hasn't really been going as smooth as they want to. We know Ipswich took a long time to sign Raheem Harper when they tried to get him from West Brom. It looks like it might be the same case here, but they've got a bit of problem here. Several championship clubs are interested. They are sniffing around, and we do know that one has had a bid rejected for Matt Crooks as well. But will Ipswich possibly have to bite the bullet, go into the 7 figures here to get their man? Because it looks like Paul Cook, it looks like it's his final piece in the jigsaw here. He'll play in behind the striker, in front of those two holding DMs of Lee Evans and Rakeem Harper. He's that final jigsaw. And if Ipswich don't get him, that could mean the difference of, not getting promoted this season.
Yeah, I mean, Crooks, he actually looks like quite a decent player. For Ipswich, you tend to get these players who've, been there, done that, had a bit of fun, but he seems like he's done quite well at Rotherham, 18 goals in about 89 games. He seemed like a good player, a goal scorer midfielder, something that Ipswich needs. He looks like a player that was sitting there well, and with the addition of Harper, that looks like that could transcend the Ipswich team. I really think that Ipswich got to bite down the bullet. Imagine, look all the clubs that spend money. I feel like Ipswich are one of the biggest clubs, in League One, and they hate spending money. I know with Marcus Evans they had time, but you got to push the boat out. If you want these players, if you want to get promoted, you've got to invest. It's simple as that. You've got to put some money in. I'm not saying Ipswich need to go out and spend 20-30 million, but I'm saying you've got to break that million mark somewhere. You've got to sign the players, and a player like him who could probably make a huge difference for Ipswich. I think they need to buy the bullet. I think you've got to trust in Paul Cook. If the club starts saying no, we don't want to get these players that you want, you're already starting to get problems before the season's even started. So I think Ipswich should trust in him if they brought him in and get the job done.
Yeah, well, we hope that the job will get done, but we you're seeing here really, like you're saying, they've got to spend the money. League One clubs are spending money. We do know that Wigan, they signed Charlie Wick, a very important sign. They really did well with Sunderland last season. They're making statement signs as well with the people they're signing. They're sort of invested well. Is it crucial that it's invest more to try and here? Because League One is getting competitive. Apparently, it's going to be nicknamed the Championship too soon. I think Steve Evans from Gillingham has been nicknaming it that. But is that now more that it's just really got to, they want their man, they're going to have to fly the money around here because other clubs are doing the same. And it could mean the difference. I think how many clubs are flying around, it could mean the difference of finishing the playoffs, finishing promotion, or not finishing in those at all.
Yeah, I mean, League One is an absolute war. Do you know what I mean? It's so loaded with good teams. You got your Doncaster, you got Ipswich, you got Lincoln, even MK Dons will look all right. Sheffield Wednesday came down. I don't know what's happening with the whole Derby situation, if that's been resolved. You got Sunderland, you got Portsmouth. I mean, it looks like a championship. I think fans looking back now, looking at how Ipswich done in the championship, you're probably a little bit more grateful that they were in it for so long. It's such a hard league, but the League One's only getting harder. It's only getting harder. The teams in there are good, but I think you still have to look at Ipswich Town as the club that they are and the prestige that they have, and they should be top 3 in that table regardless. And I think they need to prove that. I think Paul Cook thinks that, and I think from what I've heard from the owners, I know a lot of the owners and the people involved within the club, the Americans, have done a lot of interviews, and they seem to understand that with Ipswich. So I think maybe not straight away they'll get all these signs, and there's no point spending money for the sake of it. Like QPR when they went into the Premier League, they done that, but Ipswich just you've got to invest the money. Like players that Paul Cook wants, like Crooks, 1.5 million, just get it done, get out of the way, get him in the squad, and let's get it going because the season's going to be starting soon before you know it, and you don't want to be left two weeks before deadline day. You're 3 games in, and you got to try and get all these signings in. So yeah, Ipswich need to compete this season. They need to compete. They need to get players. It can't be another season. Just sitting mid-table. They've got to go for it this season. If not, it's only going to get worse to them over the years. So yeah, go for it.
Yeah, you don't want to be hanging dry, especially in League One. Don't want another season in League One because might get a Netflix documentary. There might be like you don't really want those. Well, this week as well, fans have been reminiscing about the 17/18 season. No, not because of Mick McCarthy. We all know Ipswich fans absolutely love that man through gritted teeth. And that poor season they had. No, because of a fan favourite player who came on loan, who wowed fans from his fabulous, tricky style from Manchester City. Yes, Selena. He has been reported this week. He's a target to return back to the club after his current club, Dijon, not Dijon Mustard, Dijon, were relegated from Ligue 1 this season. Piers Selina, he was a very popular player at his time at the club. We all know what he would do. He'd be a very popular addition back to the club. But since leaving town, he's really struggled for goals and assists. You know, he had that spell at Swansea. He did okay. Didn't really set the world alight. He went to Dijon, 31 appearances, 0 goals, 0 assists. Not very good for a winger. But for somebody with his ability, he would cause a lot of teams problems in the championship, in League One. And we know, and Ipswich fans know what they'll be getting with this player. But the one problem is, championship clubs are looking around him and are very interested in him as well.
Yeah, I think it's something if Ipswich are going to do, they need to get in early before anyone gets in. I believe they had a run over a few seasons. They had Ryan Fraser on loan, didn't they? Then Tom Lawrence and then Selina. I can't remember if them two overlapped a little bit, but from what I can remember from Selina, he definitely changed the pace in games. I mean, you know, a game would be dead. You know, everybody knows how he played. It was long ball. It was good at Thames and get over the top. But if Selina got onto it, you know, the tempo of the game would change. You know, he would create chances, and Ipswich fans love that. Like sometimes with Tom Lawrence or Maitland Niles when they were there, when they got the ball, they just changed the pace. They changed the way it is. And you know, if Paul Cook's looking to play football, I bet this is definitely his man. And you know, I think Selina would be happy to come back. You know, you don't get many players who say they hated playing for Ipswich, and I think if they can get in the door early, I think it's definitely a player who you can't miss out on. I'm guessing you know it's about money and wages. I don't know how much he's on and how much the club are willing to spend, but I think he's definitely a player who could come back and cause some problems. I know sometimes you know when players come back they're not as good, but I think it's definitely worth the risk for Ipswich. But I just don't want them to make the mistake they made when they had I can't even remember what his name is. Was it Paul Hurst?
Yeah, Paul Hurst.
Yeah, when they bought like 9 players, I don't want Ipswich to make that mistake because you've still got to take time to integrate these players. But I think a player like Selina, yeah, bringing him back, I think it would be positive for Ipswich.
Yes, it'd be very positive as well. And also, before we leave, we actually have some more Ipswich Town news. So 2 of Ipswich Town games have been changed to the game against Crewe Alexandra, now going to be played on the 28th of November, the Sunday, staying at a 3:00 kickoff. And also, the trip to Rotherham on Good Friday has been brought forward by 2 hours, so it's a 1:00 kickoff. And that's everything for your Ipswich Town's news this week. Thank you very much, Piers, for helping with that because, you know, that's not here to talk about Ipswich Town because he's been suspended. But when we come back, we're going to be talking about Euro 2020, the 2 semi-finals. So it is Italy versus Spain first. Oh boy, what's going to happen in this one?
Pitchside Talk on IO Radio.
Hello and welcome back to Pitchside Talk here on IO Radio. It's Fridays at 5 p.m. with me, George, and our special guest this week, Piers. I nearly said Dan, but I didn't. It's Piers. He's smiling. He's very happy. You can't see it on the radio. Sorry, you have to watch it on YouTube. So yeah, Dan is being suspended for 1 week because he's been celebrating too much, you know, being reckless, being absolutely reckless. And he just, you know, he needs to sleep. He needs to sleep it off a little bit. You know, he's coming home, but he needs to sleep it off a little bit. But before we move on, talking about Euro 2020 in 2021 between Italy and Spain in the first semi-final, I better mention social media, Twitter is at Pitchside Talk, Instagram is at Talk_Pitch, YouTube and Mixcloud are both at Pitchside Talk. If you want to listen back to any of previous shows, or if you missed anything from this show today, don't worry, 6 p.m. on Fridays, it will be up. Where if you missed us talk about Ipswich Town this week, don't worry, it'll be up there for you. If you want to listen back to it, then, well, after weeks of football action in Euro 2020 in 2021, I must stress that because we are in 2021, we have gone from 24 teams down to 4 in a very highly anticipated semi-finals between the favourites, Italy, who have shown their dominance throughout the whole competition with their classy football. They took on the dark horses, Spain, who have started slowly in the group stages, but have continued to grow since the knockouts really grown into this tournament. And the first team to book the place in the final for this Sunday is Italy, reaching their first ever final since Euro 2012, where they were beaten by Spain. They got their revenge ever so slightly on them. It went to penalties versus Spain, which Italy won. A few penalties missed, but Italy got through in the end. Piers, an absolutely thrilling game to watch here between, Italy and Spain, the favourites and the dark horses. a horrible way to decide the game. It didn't feel like it should have been decided on penalties. Feels like it should have been decided in the 90 minutes, but unfortunately, they couldn't find the winner. But the Italian machine keeps marching on.
Yeah, definitely. First, I mean, I think almost all the games been nailed by, and I think this has been an amazing tournament. Coming to the end of the Champions League, I was like, I don't know if I even want to watch the Euros. I'm a bit bored now. I've seen it all, but it's been amazing. And I mean, from the first game, when Italy played Turkey, I said, you know what, with this team, I think they can win it. And I mean, I wish I wish I didn't say it now because they're in the final. But yeah, I mean, Italy have looked amazing. The team, the way the team has came on since sort of 2012 or that embarrassment in 2014, the way that they've built themselves is absolutely amazing, and the players they've got, I mean, it is a different class, and just the way they play. I mean, you see the passion in the Italian players, and coming to the Spain game, I was confident that they were going to do it. I think most people were confident getting in the win anyway, but I tell you what, they left it close though, but they still got the win.
Yeah, that the embarrassment they had in the 2014 World Cup, didn't qualify out the group stages. 2016 was better, but they had an embarrassing exit against Germany in the quarterfinals. We all remember Simone Zaza is the only thing he's ever remained for with that penalty. And then the 2018 failing to even qualify for the World Cup, which is in Italy, is an absolute disaster. I think I remember seeing sort of the papers they had. It was just shambolic, they called it. Well, a bit more exaggerating in Italian, but unfortunately, I don't really understand Italian. But I can sing the national anthem. Yeah, ciao. That's all I know. But we have to feel a little bit here for Spain. They've been involved in some action-packed games. I think we can say Croatia, that 5-3. They've slowly grown into this tournament. They weren't firing in the first game against Sweden. Had all the ball, but couldn't score. Poland, same again, but they did score, but they didn't win that game. And in Slovakia, they got that final victory. Croatia, they won 5-3. Switzerland, they had a very tough game there, but they got through on penalties. But for them, really, they're going to sort of be ruin their chances a little bit because their wastefulness they've had has absolutely caught up with them. Because in this game, they had so many chances. The Italians let them come and play their football. They were passing it around like it was just a normal team. But if they were just a little bit more clinical on the night, we could be talking about a different story here where Spain have absolutely shocked the world and knocked out the favourites for Euro 2020.
Yeah, I mean, Spain, we've how they done in the competition at first reminded me a little bit of England. Had a real, sort of boring start. We're getting results. You thought, I don't know if they can really do anything. Then they started getting results, getting the wins. That Croatia game was amazing. Just like I said, half the games in this competition have been amazing. But I think they've still got a couple sort of, aging players in that team. I think they're sort of going for a bit of a transition period. They've got some really good young players. Then you've got players like Busquets and Alba, who I think, are sort of coming to the end of their time. So I think it's just sort of the changing of the guard that Spain need to go through. I think they're just going to go through sort of a transitional phase over the next few years. And, I think Spanish football has had a hard time with the pandemic anyway. I mean, look how all the Spanish teams done in the Champions League. They all done terribly. They've been doing hard. So, but the game itself, I thought Spain had all the chances, definitely in the first half. Like you said, it was just their wastefulness that couldn't get them to it. And in the end, when it comes to penalties, it's always a 50-50. And unfortunately, they came up short.
Yes, they did. Well, I love how I've talked about their wastefulness, but they are the top goal scorers by a team in the competition with 13. And it's crazy to think that we're talking about how non-clinical they are, despite scoring 13 goals. But unfortunately, that's how it goes. But you talked there about Spanish football is going for a transition. This is the first sort of major step really for them because since 2012, they've not been this far. 2014 World Cup, they went out in the group stages. 2016 was a little bit better, but they got knocked out by Italy in the second round. And then we all know what happened in 2018, getting knocked out by Russia, the home nation in the World Cup. But for them, this is a transitional period for them, but it's going to look like it's going to end in the bright future because some of the players they had playing, Dani Olmo, looked absolutely fantastic despite missing a penalty. Pedri looks like he's come through the ranks. Spain have got some good players here. And for them now, it's about capitalizing on the next challenge, which is going to be, well, we're not going to count them, I should say, because it's not really a challenge, but the World Cup. So if they can get it right, would we be sort of saying that they would be right up there for the World Cup next time.
Yeah, I mean, with Spain, you can never count them out. Obviously, they've got players like Koke, Laporte at the back. Obviously, Torres, and like I said, the striker, I don't remember how you pronounce his name, so I'm not even going to try it. But they've got such a good team, and they've got, in my eyes, a world class manager. I think he's an absolutely amazing manager, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if they're a bit like England, a couple of years ago, where the players just aren't gelling because you got players from Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, Barcelona. Whether they're not gelling because they don't want to give away too much within the league. I don't probably think it's that. I think sometimes teams go through patches. It's not like they haven't got the talent, but Italy went through the patch. Everyone's got. France went through a little patch. They done terrible in the 2014 World Cup. So I don't know. It's interesting, but to be competing, like I said, you can't come out. But then you got Italy, you got Portugal, who are going to come back. Definitely Portugal. I think I've got one of the best international teams, and that didn't go well for them. Belgium, their golden generation will be coming to an end by the World Cups. They're definitely going to try and do something. Yeah, I think I've said Italy. You got France, and obviously England. So for Spain, they've got to definitely step up. Obviously they done brilliant. About 10 years ago when they won the Euros twice and won the World Cup, but they've just got to pick it up now. They can't just live off the name of we're Spain. We can do it. So nonetheless, they did get to the semi-final, and they beat some good teams, and they worked hard for it. So I think the Spaniards can't be too disheartened by it. So it's a couple of tweaks and a couple of changes, and they'll be all right.
Yeah, they'll be all right on the night, that's what we'll say. But apart from this night, because they weren't all right on the night, but Jorginho's penalty was the winner. The hop, the skip, and the jump. I knew as he stepped up, I thought it's going in. It's a Jorginho penalty. It goes out. It goes in 10 times out of 10, really. But he sent Italy into the final. As we described earlier, the Italian machine, it keeps going on, and whatever challenge they face, they seem to just ace it every single time. They faced every single challenge. They dominated their group stages. They had a tough game against Austria. They got through that through the extra time. They beat Belgium, the highest ranked side in the world. They beat them convincingly in 90 minutes. They've done it with Spain. They've gone through a very tough match where a team has dominated most of the game, and they've just come out on top. But Mancini deserves all the credit here because he has built a dominant machine. They're unbeaten in the last 33 games. They hadn't conceded the goal in the last 11 coming into the tournament, something crazy like that. But I think we have to sort of say he was disrespected in England here because what he has done, he's built such a brilliant machine. And just like we said, they've been through so many tough times, not qualifying for that 2018 World Cup. It looks like what's happened back there has been written off. And this is a new beginning. And for Italy, if they don't win on Sunday, it'd be an absolute disaster where they're coming from.
Yeah, I mean, Mancini, absolutely masterclass manager. Like you said, in England, I thought, he's an all right manager. He's done well with it. Never really thought much of it when he left England. And he's just done amazing. And the team he's got, I mean, obviously, Bonucci, Chiellini at the back, Donnarumma, Jorginho, Barella, Verratti, that Spezzola, if that's how you pronounce it, the left back who got injured. Emerson coming in. You got Emerson as your backup. Locatelli, Chiesa, Immobile. Obviously, one of the class players, Insigne. It's just name after name after name after name that are playing for these big clubs, Juve, Chelsea, PSG, who's just coming in. It's a fantastic team for Italy. I wouldn't say they're the star players, they're clubs, but they're the good players, and together they're a star team. And like you said, they've just worked through teams. They haven't been able to get themselves in a situation where they've gone, okay, we really need to work here. They've been able to control games, control the pace of the games, control the way they played. Even when Spain scored, they still looked in control. The first half, okay, they were playing a little bit of long ball, looking a bit slow. But Immobile, he's been on fire the last 2 years, and to come into this tournament, he's looked really good. So, I mean, Italy just look great. They just look like, they remind me a little bit of like what your stereotypical Germany team would be, where everyone's just firing, the midfield's looking great, it's going out to the wings. But yeah, they just look fantastic, and they've just got such a brilliant squad, and it looks like they've got a real togetherness.
Also, a philosophy I quite like the Italians employed is that not all the players who are in the squad are actually from the top teams in Italy. I think Locatelli's from, I don't know, Sampdoria or something like that. He isn't in one of the top teams, and now they're on about him possibly going to the top team. But I love that with the Italians. They've got players from all sorts around. But yeah, the Italians, they have made it. They have booked their place in the final for Euro 2020 in 2021. And when we come back, we'll be talking about the second semi-final, England versus Denmark. Oh boy, this is going to be stressful and fun at the same time.
The best place in Ipswich to hear the latest football debates, Pitchside Talk on IO Radio.
Hello and welcome back to Pitchside Talk here on IO Radio. It's Fridays at 5 p.m. with me, George, and our special guest this week, Piers, as Dan is suspended for celebrating too much. But don't worry, Piers is here and he's having an absolutely fun time. Look at him, he's absolutely happy. He is happy as ever. He's smiling, but you can't see it on radio. Sorry about that. You have to go on YouTube to see it. Don't be like that, Piers. Don't be like that at all. God, that's throwing me off there. Twitter is at Pitchside Talk. Instagram is at Talk_Pitch. YouTube, Mixer are both at Pitchside Talk. If you want to listen back to any improved shows, but if you missed anything from today's show and you want to listen to talk about Italy versus Spain and Ipswich Town news, do not worry. 6 p.m. on the YouTube Mix Club. It will be out, so you can listen back to whenever you want to and listen back to all the fantastic stuff which we have talked about. And now, I'm excited. I've been excited about this for the whole show. I've been trying to hold my excitement up. I've tried my best, but I've let go of it. I've been trying not to sing Sweet Caroline all day, so I've had it running around in my head. But after that mega game between Italy and Spain, it was time for England and Denmark to enter battle for the final place, to play Italy in the final of Euro 2020 on the Sunday. England looking to bring it home this summer. Denmark, the fairy tale team after Christian Eriksen's collapse on the pitch, they've absolutely won the hearts of fans across the world, and especially in Euro 2020. And the winners was England. England, they have reached their first final for 55 years, sending the whole country into party mode. We know lots of people have missed work. They're called in sick. Don't blame you, because it was a very stressful game. We were all stressed. Piers, you watched it actually at Isaac's, one of the bars in Ipswich, which has been was publicised a lot, one of the main places to go and watch the football. But finally, England have done it, and it is coming home. Well, sort of. It's been played at Wembley, but still, it's coming home of some sorts.
Well, yeah. To be honest, they should have just done the whole tournament in England. The amount of games we played there, we played one away.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, it's a bit scary. I think everybody in England who isn't over the age of sort of 60 is thinking, oh, this isn't real, because we've never seen this. It's always been like the Ronaldo wink, the Lampard goal that didn't go in, all the controversy in the papers, the players doing this, the players doing that. Southgate's missed pen. I don't know how many times they've shown that on TV. And it's just like all that has been wiped. All the media that have talked down the players, have said Raheem Sterling should be playing. Harry Kane's in terrible form. All these players have shut them up, really, because we've been terrific. The start of the campaign, okay, a little bit slow. Got the job done against Croatia. Croatia didn't really present anything. I think the Scotland game, everyone's like, here we go. It's another England tournament. We couldn't get the job done. Got the job done against Czech Republic. Beat Germany. I mean, that's unheard of. Before we even started talking about getting into the final, beating Germany is one of the craziest things I've ever seen at Wembley. Got the job done against Ukraine, a tricky Ukraine. They put up a hell of a game against Sweden and looked really good. And then come against Denmark, go a goal down. England hand conceded, could have easily capitulated after conceding a goal, and got it done. It is unheard of for England to get the job done when the pressure is on, and they done it. They've done it, and I think everybody's proud, and I think the players should be proud.
Yeah, we've experienced all sorts of emotions, like you said beforehand, with all the moments. A controversial moment you missed there was Ronaldinho's free kick, which he lobbed David Seaman in the 2000 World Cup. You forgot that one.
Yeah, I did forget. Yeah, that was a good bloody free kick.
That was a good free kick. We can admit this to this day. Yeah, and also as well, beating Germany. You said that Germany are going to beat us. Well, we proved you wrong, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just follow that one.
Yeah. You try to steer away from that, but I'll steer you back to it. But yeah, every game has felt like it's been a roller coaster mode. It's been building up the excitement and the anticipation, apart from the Scotland game, which was a win for Scotland and a 0-0 draw. I didn't realize you got 3 points for a 0-0 draw these days. Unheard of, I hear. And in England, apparently it's a point, but in Scotland it's 3. But every game has been building up this excitement. The whole country's just united. It feels like, I don't know. It feels like we're going to explode a moment in emotions or something. It's crazy. We've never experienced anything like this before, apart from like you said, like with the people who are over 60 now, they've experienced us making a final. For us, it's unheard of.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. England have just got better after every single game. Every game they've just got better. And I think for a lot of England fans, there's been a lot of, like I said, from when I can remember, watching tournaments, I've never really cared too much about England because the players have never performed, and I think for everybody got to a breaking point in 2016 when obviously we got knocked out by Iceland. We played terrible against Russia. We got the win against Wales. And that was like, wow, like what is going on with England? But that was also the start of it all. You had all the young players coming through. Thankfully, Kane isn't on corners anymore. But coming into 2018, Southgate and the waistcoat just I think changed England. We had our belief again, and I think personally myself with the nation when the Nations League happened, I thought, okay, maybe we were just lucky with the World Cup, mate. Maybe we were lucky. Maybe we had a good one, and I was starting to maybe doubt Southgate a little bit. I thought, is he the man, or did he just have a good one? But coming into this, he's definitely proven me wrong, and the players. And I think, like I was saying with Spain, with I don't feel they had the togetherness. This England team has got the togetherness. These young players. I mean, these players are so young. They're almost the same age as me, which is crazy. I mean, and they're doing terrific because they don't have the fear that I think the players had before, and they've got the togetherness. Like you see Mason Mount and like Jack Grealish and everybody get along so well. Rashford, even the players that aren't playing are still loving, like Rashford, Chilwell, who haven't been lucky enough to get in the squad. They want to do this for England, and I think playing at Wembley has made it 100 times better for them. And I mean, they've just been fantastic. And like I said at the start, just game by game, they've just got better and better.
Yeah, got better. But I'm going to make you, I'm going to scare you and both me here, right? There's 2 players in the England squad that are under the age of 19 or 20. That's the
yeah.
I'm nearly the same age as Mason Mount and Declan Rice, and I'm feeling a bit scared here. I'm shaking. But we must talk about the game. It was very stressful, nerve shredding. That Denmark goal didn't help at all, easing those nerves. But England, they passed the test. Do you feel the game got to England a little bit? The occasion, before the goal, the passes were a little bit shaky. Safety wasn't the top priority. We all know that safety is the top priority under Gareth Southgate. It wasn't really. And they were just getting caught on the attack. Do you feel that the moment it finally hit this England side where they've been sort of sheltering away from it, they've been diverting all the bullets about it, but it really hit them, and that sort of caused the problems really leading to that goal?
Yeah, definitely. I think it was a big moment. I think the players were definitely nervous. I mean, some of these players haven't even played in big cup finals or even in Farm Cups. I mean, look at our Holden players, Calvin Phillips and Declan Rice. They haven't been to things like FA Cup finals, League Cup finals, where you've got players like Mason Mount who've been to the Champions League final, and Raheem Sterling who won league. So I think just a little bit maybe that experience, and also the pressure of the country. Like half us here, like we haven't been at this stage. We haven't been here where we think we can get here. So I don't blame the players. And you've got players like Harry Maguire who probably have the demons from the Europa League final, where I know he didn't play, but the team didn't get through. So I think people are thinking, players like Shaw, another player who's been criticised, obviously had a fantastic tournament, but he's got to prove himself in this game. Pickford, he's probably reading the stuff where people say he's got a mistake in him. So I think the moment definitely got to the England players in the first half. I think they started slow. They were missing passes. I think maybe they would have been better off maybe start a player like Jordan Henderson. I think he would have been a great player to keep being there. A real leader. Saka, he's very young. I would have maybe put in Sancho instead. But I mean, regardless, it still worked. And I think the main thing we can take from that is, although they were shaky, They conceded the first goal. They kept their heads. It wasn't like Croatia where they conceded and they just went, I have no idea what to do anymore. You see Kane straight away, like, come on, guys, keep your heads. We've got it. And, it's a testament to Southgate. He came in this tournament saying that they would be cautious in the games and they would get the job done. And they've done it so far.
Yes. Actually, funny enough, this semi-final is actually a reverse really of what happened in Croatia. England scored first in that game and then conceded 2. England conceded 1. They scored 2, winning extra time. I forgot that game actually against Croatia actually went to extra time. I was actually a bit shocked by that. But we must sort of spare a thought here quickly to Denmark. They've been through so many tough emotions this whole tournament, from that Eriksen collapse, getting through on the last game of the group stage, the first ever team to lose both group stage games, the first 2, and still get through, beating Wales in the knockout rounds and Czech Republic, getting to the semi-finals and losing the way they did. It wasn't the best way. It has left a very bitter taste in the Denmark manager's mouth. He is not happy at all how Denmark lost the game through that penalty. But for them, it's been a tough tournament for so many different things, really. But thankfully, Christian Eriksen, he's all well. He's actually going to be at the final this Sunday, which is fantastic, here with all the medical staff as well. The 6 medical staff are resuscitated back to life. But for Denmark, really, it's been a positive tournament getting to the semi-finals, but a tough one as well at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, it's been very tough. Obviously, losing Christian Eriksen, an absolute leader, their best player, having such a scary moment. And then, which I thought left a bad taste in my mouth, was UEFA making them play on the same day. That's a terrible thing for them. And then they lost another game, so it was 2 games. And I think Eriksen going through that and then him coming out all right, I think in some way brought the team together even more. They're like, right, we've got to do this for him now. What he's gone through. Let's just put it all together now. And they played amazing. I mean, that game against Russia, obviously the Christensen goal was amazing. Going into the Wales game and absolutely brutalising them, embarrassing Wales. I know Wales obviously in the last year has got to the semi-final, but Denmark looked absolutely amazing, played Wales off the pitch. And then Czech Republic, which was not an easy game. You saw what they done to the Netherlands and going in there and doing it. I think they've got to be very, very happy with what they've done. I think they've got brilliant players. Obviously, they've got Christensen, an amazing centre-back, Schmeichel, Højbjerg, Braithwaite. The names go on. When you actually look at the squads, it's like, wow, they've done something big here. And I'm sure, obviously, the way it didn't go wasn't the best for them with the penalty. But I think the way that they'll look at this tournament back is how England will look at the 2018 World Cup, where it was like, the players really came together and they put their hearts on the line, Denmark. And unfortunately, they came short in the end. But I don't think, if I was a Denmark fan, I would still be more than happy with the team of how they performed.
Yeah, especially where they sort of have come from. I do agree with you. I'm not very happy with Wakefield making them play the same game on the same day after that incident. But we must move now back onto England. And finally, Gareth Southgate, he deserves massive credit here. He's ended the 55-year wait, or 302 games, which actually doesn't sound like a lot, but it is over 55 years. Or 140k miles travelled by England in that time in the 55-year wait. His experience of that pain, which, Piers is constantly mentioned what happened in Euro 96, that penalty, that miss. It feels like now he can't redeem what happened for his teammates on that night. But for him, he now has a chance to write his own history. But everybody else here, he has that chance to lift that and to redeem what happened 25 years ago by this final on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how many times the TV channels want to keep showing that. You'd think you want to be a bit positive. But I think Southgate is the type of guy who isn't looking at that, if you know what I mean. I don't think he's looking at it for himself like, I can make amends for what happened there. I think he's, a genuinely honest guy. And I think he's looking at this now like he said, he's going to spoil the party when they win. He is laser focused. He's got tunnel vision. He's got everything you want to hear coming into the final. He's probably thinking, yeah, good, we won the semi-final, but we've still got this final ahead. And I think through the trauma he went through with England, I think that helps as much because he knows how quickly that can all be snatched away. and terrific. We've got to the final, but there's still one more game to play, and I think it's an absolute testament to Southgate, and I think him doing the working with the youth over the years and building his way in, because he wasn't the guy that people wanted really at first. He was supposed to just be there. In the meantime, I mean, we were supposed to have Big Sam, so it's an interesting one. But the way he's done with the team and the way he's brought the players together, anything that England win, if they are lucky enough to win on Sunday, is definitely 100% thanks to Gareth Southgate. Obviously, the players have been fantastic, but we've had amazing teams. We had the golden generation, and I think this one, I think it's thanks to Southgate is the reason why they're playing the way they are, and the togetherness they have. So props to Southgate, and if he does it, he'll go down as obviously one of the greatest England managers ever, especially one of the best ones in my lifetime. So it's all on the line. It's probably pressure, but I don't feel like the pressure will get to him. I think he's such a calm guy. You see him on the pitch, he's got his nice little suit on and he's looking calm as. I think he really helps the team, and he makes the hard decisions. Roy Keane said about it yesterday, where Grealish come on and he took him back off. In years before, maybe people like Capello, they'd be like, no, there's no way I can take off Rooney. He's the star man. If I take him off, he plays for Manchester United. Whereas, Southgate, he doesn't mind taking those risks, and I think that'll be one of the reasons why England have definitely got a good chance of winning that Sunday.
Yeah, and if we don't, I think massive credit to him for really uniting a whole nation. I don't think I've ever seen a whole nation back a country like this ever.
Yeah.
Well, Sunday's final is now only 24 hours away. 60,000 plus fans will be walking down the famous walkway to Wembley, where players enter and legends leave. Yes, I do remember that lovely line. Piers, Italy, they have dominated the whole tournament here, facing any challenge, coming out on top in dominant fashion. They're unbeaten in the last 33 games under Roberto Mancini. For England, they've got the whole nation behind them, growing in confidence every single game, going through the gears. A sense of unity between the country and the whole squad is very strong. Whatever happens on Sunday, whatever the result is, this game is going to be so epic to watch. It's going to bring back the good times. We've not seen the good times in the last 18 odd months. This game here is the defining moment, whatever happens, if Italy win or England do.
Yeah, it's going to be an amazing game, and I think I think the English people sort of deserve this a little bit. I think they've had a pretty a hard year and a half. Obviously, some people have had a lot harder, but with everything with COVID and giving this false hope and then going back, I know it's not related to football, but I think it affects the people, and just to be able to come into this Euros, having a lot of games at home, and just they've literally brought the country together. I mean, everybody's happy. I mean, I hugged the Man United fan yesterday, and I hate Manchester United, so it's definitely done something. And coming into this, I think everyone will definitely be disappointed if England don't win. We'll be devastated, but the work that they put in has been amazing. But for the Italians on the other side, I'm sure they're feeling the same. I'm sure they've had a hard time. They're coming to enemy territory, I guess, but they've got the job done before. They've got players who've played at Wembley. You've got players like Jorginho and Emerson who have played at Wembley. You've got experienced players who have played on the European stage. So, it's just another game for Italy. I'm sure they're just as confident as England. I think this game's going to be an absolute chess match. I don't think it's going to be one team going at the others, and that. I think it's going to be a game that's going to be one in the midfield, one with the passes to whoever's silky. I think it's going to be an absolute technical match. I think everything you're going to see is at the highest level, and you just need that player. But you need that one player in that one moment where they're not scared and they're going to drive through. You're going to have that bit of flair, like what you saw Foden doing in extra time in the Denmark game, flicking it across, just getting in there. That will be whoever comes that day and has those players that do that will be the ones who win. Honestly, I know England are at home, but I definitely think it's a 50-50 match.
I'm not going to ask you for your score prediction, because I don't think it's too tough to predict. I don't want to see you crack already. I'll save that for another time. Well, we're at the end of the show. The referee's about to blow his whistle for full time for, possibly one of the last times this summer. We're not going to be doing too many shows over the summer. Sorry, guys. Just let you know about that, because I want a summer break. But Piers, I want to thank you so much for joining me today on this very emergency loan signing because of Dan being suspended. But, you're welcome back anytime, and hopefully we'll see you soon again. Well, we'll see you for match previews. We've got some coming up soon, but, back on the show once again.
Hopefully so. It's always a pleasure. Hopefully when the Premier League's back, that is my bread and butter, the Premier League. So hopefully England can get the job done and we can celebrate the England win. And then we can go in and celebrate the Premier League kicking off again with the full capacity fans in the stats.
Yes, it's going to be absolutely fantastic to watch. Well, I want to thank you, everybody, for listening and actually watching today. So Twitter is at Pitchside Talk, Instagram is at Talk on Talk Pitch, YouTube, it's got it both at Pitchside Talk. If you want to listen back to any previous shows, or even this one, if you missed anything from today's show, do not worry. In a few minutes' time, 6 p.m. on Fridays, it'll be re-released on our YouTube and our Mixcloud. So I've been George this week. He has been Piers. We'll see you next week, and ciao.
Thank you.
The whistle has been blown for full time. Tune in next week for another jam-packed show.